Hi, it's Amber. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. And guess what? It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. All we need to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Good luck. It's going to be this podcast here is going to be interesting. It looks like she has joined.
I have. I'm here.
Yay. Okay. So how was your 4th of July?
Lazy. As always.
Okay. Yeah, mine was too. I was uneventful. I stayed home and I had been coloring. This is what I've been working on. I was thinking about letting people watch me color through this, but I don't know. You can just look at my face and well, I don't know.
I have both of your faces. I have the Facebook Live on one side of the camera, and then I have the video call on the other. So I'm literally, but it's so weird. Facebook Live is like lagging a little bit, so it's behind like a minute.
If I turn my camera, you should see I have Facebook Live on one monitor, and then I have her on Duo on another monitor, so I can look at her. Like I said, we try to have conversations with this. All we're doing is adding a microphone in our conversation. So looking at her helps this become a full-fledged conversation. Not just like I'm talking to myself, because I hate doing lives. I hate doing anything with a microphone, especially when it feels like I'm by myself. So looking at her helps me get through it. So do you have anything to recap for the week? Any podcast information that we left out that we need to amend?
Not that I know of, but I do have quite a teaser for next week on Tuesday. It's basically centered around my home country of the Philippines. Now, I did have to move. I had quite a list, and I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about this week, this one next week. And it was all mapped out until I remembered while you were talking about your podcast this past Thursday. I was like, oh my God, because you mentioned a military person. And I was like, what is this person's name again? Looked it up, found my information that I needed. And I was like, yeah, no, I got to bump everything down a week and talk about this person immediately. Like, yeah. It's so-called solved, but like, I don't know. So it could go both ways, but it's considered solved.
The lighting is weird. I'm playing with lighting. I'm listening to you, and I just feel like I'm whitewashed right now. I'm listening.
It was actually quite better with the lamp off, honestly.
I couldn't read my notes, and I have to. That's the problem.
You guys can read my notes. Know Amber very well. She's very blind.
Yeah, and like, I'm looking at this. This is how I'll be reading it, guys. I'm reading the podcast. And then even then, I still can't see it. So, like, I'm just going to have to be whitewashed. Oh, my God, that was super white.
That is really bright. And I have my lights on, and I thought that was bright.
Yeah, it's so bright. It is really bright. Guys, I'm sorry that I'm, like, a big orb of blinding whiteness right now. But we're going to hop into what I had in store. I originally had more to give you, but I somehow got locked out of my Reddit, and every time I tried every email, and I got like 1,000 emails, it just kept creating new Reddits. So I could not find the original post that I had all of my information in, and I only have 2 stories to tell you now. So I feel really, really bad, but I worked for days trying to get into Reddit, and I just lost all that information. and I'm so sad. But what I wanted to present to you is something I had been working on for months, and it was an experiment, and I was actually going to do a whole media um, project for it, and it is about near death or died and revived experiences. And I actually got quite a lot of feedback on that, and they were very, very interesting stories. And I actually want to start off with something of my own. I didn't really like die or almost die. It's more like a passing out scenario, but it was so freaky that I figured I might add it to this podcast. It was a few years back. I've been in Nashville about 11 years, so this is probably about 8 or 9 years ago. Not sure, but it was quite a while back. I went to donate plasma, and that was the very first day I was banned for the rest of my life from donating plasma. Who gets banned from donating plasma? This girl. And why, I tell you. So apparently my veins are much like myself and much too little for anything. And so if you don't know what donating plasma consists of, it is the extraction of the plasma from the blood. So there's wiring, like if you give blood, you know how to do it. So the wiring, there's tubes and all this stuff. They take your blood, and then they separate the plasma from the blood and put your blood back in. Well, apparently the needle was too big for my vein, and it messed me up really bad. And I remember sitting in recovery, and there's a guy next to me. He was talking to me, and I did not know what he was talking about, but I just kept smiling, and I was fading. I could tell I was fading. I was getting really weak, and I was like, I need a nurse. And he said, what? And then kept talking. And I said, I need a nurse. But I guess I didn't have enough energy to get it louder to him.
Right.
By the time I got the energy to say I needed a nurse for the last time, I fell. I felt myself going down. And then the next thing I know, I'm like in a dark room, and it was just solid blackness. Like, there was no corners, there was no circles, there was nothing, just black. Just think about the darkest that you've ever seen and magnify it. Like, picture being in a black hole. There was nothing. And then right in front of me, there was, like how I'm looking white right now, it was brighter than this whiteness, a light, and it was a silhouette. And I don't know if it was man or woman, I don't know, but it was just this blinding bright light silhouette, just dead in front of me. And I can't tell if it was feet, if it was yards, if it was miles. Right. I can't tell how far away it was. It was just big and bright and there. And then I was woken up. And what to me felt like a few seconds was 2 hours. Zach had fell asleep in the car outside. They went to go get him. And I was like, wow, I did not know. So whatever happened, when I passed out, I don't know what happened. But that to me is the closest thing to a near death or died and revived experience that I have. Do you have a story?
The only one that I know of, I mean, I don't know if it considers it, but I was very young, and I don't remember it, but I've been told multiple times by my mom, by my aunts. When I was very young and still living in the Philippines, I had gotten really, really sick. This is right after my paternal grandmother, who I was very close to when I was a baby, had passed away. And so when I got really sick, they sent me to the hospital, and I guess I was out of it. And then I woke up, and I told them, I was crying apparently, and told them that my Lola, which is my grandmother, that's what you call grandmother in my language, that Lola wanted me to come with her. And I was describing basically her outfit on that she passed away. And mind you, she passed away in her sleep. And I slept with my aunt at the time. So I didn't know what my grandmother wore.
Yeah.
When she passed away. Because it was her night clothes. So everybody, my mom, my aunts, they all freaked out. And they actually believed that my Lola came to me wanting to get me. And so I was like, but I don't remember that at all whatsoever. But I've been told that, so I can only assume that it happened. But like I said, I was young. There's not a lot of instances where things happen when you were young and you remember it vividly.
You know, there was a time when I was young. I swear to you, like years went by in seconds. I remember at one point I was out of school in Murfreesboro, and there was the lunch lady favored me the most. I guess because I was like the only other colored person besides her that was at this particular school, and she used to always give me certain snacks. Back then we had weird snacks in the 90s. You wouldn't even think, like, they're so weird. This thing, it's like almost like a Twizzler, but it was like in shapes and stuff. I don't know, but she just knew I loved it, and she would always give it to me. And well, I was there, and then the next moment, I'm like in the living room, laying down, talking to my aunt, like literally like that. I'm like, how does that happen? And I went from being one age to another age, and when I was telling my aunt, I was like, no, this is not. How am I this old? She thought I was pretty crazy, and I was like, am I crazy? How did years go by in seconds?
You know, they say that, I've heard it multiple times. If you experience like a deja vu or like a moment where you're just like, wait a minute, I've been in this particular situation before, but you know for a fact you personally have not, but you just had that feeling. They said that there's multiple yous out there, and then you have different timelines, and when you cross the same timeline, it's basically that deja vu.
That's what's called string theory.
So I was like, you know, when I was younger, when I was in middle school, my parents would always take road trips. We went out to New Mexico to go visit my oldest brother at that time. He was stationed in New Mexico with my sister-in-law, and we drove from Tennessee all the way to New Mexico. So you can see that was a long car ride. This was my very first time in New Mexico. Tell me why I knew like what was coming up on the highway, because I was like, wait a minute, like something, like it's just something felt familiar. And I told my dad, you know, at that time my dad didn't have a GPS, so we had that big old map that you did. So
thank God it was an atlas.
Right. So I told him exactly what was coming up, like actual landmarks, not, you know, road signs, because anybody can see road signs. Yeah. But my dad, you know, asked if I seen it somewhere, and I was like, I just felt like I'd driven this road before, or was in a car with somebody.
Yeah.
Drove this road before, but we've never. That was the first time I ever went with them to New Mexico.
I want to go to New Mexico. You know what? I've been watching this show called Roswell, New Mexico. I've been binging it, and it is super, super good. And that makes me want to go visit it. Just like when I was watching the originals, I was like, ooh, we're going to go to Louisiana now.
I've always wanted to go to Louisiana because the ghost stories, like,
I am into it.
You guys don't know, and if you guys are really new listeners, and like, you'll learn so much about me and Amber. But one thing I will say is I cannot do like scary movies, haunted houses. I love Halloween though, because of candy and the cute little costumes kids come up with. But anything where I flip out and my heart beats super fast and I feel like I'm about to have a heart attack, I avoid. Okay.
I love all that. I love horror and everything. Y'all on live. Let me show you real quick, if I can.
Y'all are not fixing to show me.
No. Don't mind the mess my kids make. No, my husband. Are you snoring?
I can't. You know what's so funny is I can't hear him in the microphone, which is so weird because he's like me. Like, I can normally hear him.
Yes.
But I can't hear him right now.
I didn't even see him go by. He's like, excuse the place. Don't worry about.
I've seen two kids already come down the hallway.
But
One
I
of
know
them
I seen
turned
the
off
kids,
the
but
light.
I just didn't see him. And I'm like, where's this snoring come from? He's back behind me. It's either him or the guinea pigs, and the guinea pigs are not that loud.
For
So
being
sorry if you hear.
for being a tall, big man, he can walk really quietly.
Really loud, yeah. Sneak up on you. What is that?
He scares the crap out of me sometimes, you guys. But yeah, so going back, like I would love to go to Louisiana and see the grave sites and see, like, I'm so interested in those. I just don't want to see it personally. And like, here's the thing, you guys. And whenever I'm with Amber, she forces me. When I say forces, she will put on a scary movie and just like, no, you're gonna watch it. I kid you not, and she can vouch for this. I freaked out one movie, and I waved my hands in the air and threw my phone at the wall.
Was that Veronica?
Her couch was up against the wall by the window, and I had my phone in my right hand and just like flipped out. And so
I love it. I love the adrenaline. I love the thrill. But they're so predictable that it's not. They shouldn't be called horror now. They shouldn't be.
And the thing is, there's a lot of, because I'm a very superstitious person, and it comes
From being Filipino?
Yeah, where we believe in a lot of superstitious stuff in the Philippines. So there's one superstition. I don't know the exact wording of it, but basically you can't marry within the same year as like an immediate family member. So like me and my birth sister, my older sister. So we can't be married in the same year. Like we can't get married within the same year. And then you also cannot get married after, like within the same year after someone dies.
Oh my God. Oh my God. 2013, my mother and I got married 2 weeks apart. Zach and I got married not too long after his aunt died.
Yeah, because here's the thing. So the superstition is that if that so happens, okay, there is this lady in white. I don't know why 90% of the ghost stories and superstitions are lady in white, but there's a lady in white with a thorn thing that wraps around her head. Basically she's like full of blood because the thorns are, of course, embedded in her head. But she comes to the family and basically gives you bad luck for the rest of your marriage.
So I wonder. That's so. Because if it's a true thing, I'm a double whammy here.
It's very bad because it doesn't, like, I have to look up on it and read up on it, and I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, let me know if that's why I'm so fucked up in the head.
I'll let you guys know next week. But I'm a very superstitious person, so when I watch something or when I experience something scary, whether it's fake, like going to a fake haunted house, I can't. You guys, I even went to the haunted house where I knew the people that were in there for the job, for goodness sake.
Are you talking about JC's in Shelbyville?
Yes. And I had kicked one of them in the shins. Okay? Like, I kicked one of them. I also went to another haunted house, the Death Valley Haunted Woods in Nashville. Went over there, had my eyes closed the entire time, and then kicked somebody in between the legs, and like they couldn't work for a minute because I kicked them.
You know, your fear like that reminds me of my fear of the roller coaster.
But I love roller coasters.
Oh my God. I only got on it because of my children, and there's 5 of us, so we couldn't all buddy up. So I let 2 kids sit together, and the baby sit with my husband, and it was just me, and I sat with some random white woman, and I know she was looking at me like, because I'm brown, and she was looking at me like, I was like, can I sit here? And she's like, yeah. Girl, as soon as it took off, I grabbed her arm and buried my face in her shoulder and screamed, the whole time.
And I can see you doing that.
And I was crying, and when we were done, she said, "It's okay." I was like, "No, that was the most terrifying thing of my life."
I don't know why you even wrote it if they were already paired up. You could have just let me hold y'all shoes.
Okay, look, I spent $400 going there. We stood in line for 2 hours. We only got to ride one ride. So I was like, I might as well get on this ride after spent this much money, you know?
And it would be a roller coaster, would
Oh
it?
my God. And when it was up and my head was down, that reminded me that one time I was with Arianne. And we get up to the top. Yeah, we get up to the top. And then she tosses the thing where she's like on top of me, and I'm thinking I'm gonna fall through, and I'm screaming, and she's screaming. Look, I got off the thing because she was like, I'm looking at her, and I'm down. I'm like, if we fall, I'm gonna be the first one to go through the ground. Guys, when we got off that thing, I said, I need a cigarette.
So what the ride is that she's talking about, so they're cages, okay? So think of a Ferris wheel, but they're cages. And then each individual cage spins on its own while the big ride spins slowly like a Ferris wheel, okay? So I would rock it, and it would make us flip. She's flipping out, okay? And mind you, I'm not wearing the right outfit for this because, like, a lot of people will be wearing, like, shirts, you know, just regular t-shirts. No, I come in with a spaghetti strap shirt, and, like, by the time we reach the bottom, I kid you not, you guys, my boobs were in her face.
Yes. And I told her, that was the year I told her I hated her forever.
She really did. She was begging. Every time we got to the bottom, she was begging the attendant to stop the ride and let her off. She's like, please let me off. And he would just think that she was joking, and he was laughing. I was crying. He did an extra time. Like, we should have been off a long ass time ago, but because she was begging to get off, and he thought it was a joke, he thought it would be more fun if we were still on it. So he let everybody off, and we were the last one off.
Even not, you know what pissed me off the most? Oh my God, my Netflix just popped up. What pissed me off the most was he got us up to the top when we were upside down, and he held us there for 2 freaking minutes while I was screaming. That pissed me off.
Yeah, and she got off. She's like, no, and she bowed through up, and then my ex-roommate and her now wife was there, and she was like, oh my God, please tell me y'all have a cigarette.
And I didn't even smoke. I don't even smoke now, but at that point I used to smoke, but at that point I had quit smoking. I was so pissed off and my nerves were so shot, I didn't care. I didn't care what kind of cigarette it was. I didn't care, but it could have been laced. I didn't care. Like, my nerves were literally outside of my body, you know. But so now that we got the terrifying stories from our past out, let me tell you about these 2 stories that I could get from my extensive failed research.
Oh my goodness.
So I am a part of a Facebook group called the Horror Morgue. If you're a horror buff like me, please go join them. And there was one poster. Actually, there was 2 different posters, and both of them gave me permission to tell their stories, show their photos, and mention their names. I make sure I screenshotted the permission, so if it comes back to bite me in the butt, I got screenshot proof. So the first person that told me his story, his name is Stephen Wynette, or Winnett, however you want to pronounce it. And he said roughly 12 years ago, he was driving on Interstate 40 from whatever state he lived in. It was roughly about 2:00 in the morning. He said that he had hit loose gravel on the side of the road and lost control of his truck. He ended up flipping his truck multiple times, going front to back, side to side. And one of those flips, his arm flung out the window and the truck rolled over it. And then in another one of the flips, his head was slammed against the pavement, and the windshield shattered and everything. And the only thing that kept the cab of the truck from flattening out on him was his seat. It was the picture I will post the picture after the podcast and the live ends. I'll post the picture in the comments, and once I do my I'm starting to put these podcasts on YouTube. Once I do that, I'll also add it to the YouTube video. But that was one story of his near death experience, and I was like, oh my god, you're still alive after a flip. And if you see the photo, like, how could he be alive?
Right.
Like I didn't even know it was a truck. When I first saw the picture, I did not know it was a truck. When he said truck, I was like, it looks like an old Honda Civic from '96. Like, it did a bang up. Whatever happened, did a bang up.
Squished.
Huh?
That means it was squished.
Oh yeah, I would wait till you see the picture. Wait till you see the picture. Another poster named Amy Del Ferguson. She's actually been on several podcasts, and she has an interview on YouTube. And she's actually shared the clip with me, so I will share that here later on once everything gets uploaded. I will share all the information. So she actually did pass away. She was dead for 4 whole minutes. And while she was dead, the longer that you stay dead, the more your brain deteriorates and everything. This caused her to go into a 6-week coma. And she remembers listening to her family come and talk to her. The doctors come and talk to her. The doctors were pleading with the family, please pull the plug, basically give up on her, just kill her, let her go. And she's hearing all of this, but she can't do anything. She said the only thing that she could do was like when you first wake up in the morning and you've got crust in your eyes, you can see but it's blurry, but you can't really open your eyes. Right. That's all she could do. And she said when she would do that, the shadows would try to scare her. So something was trying to make her keep her eyes closed. Something wanted her dead. But her family didn't give up on her. She said she wanted the world to know that people in comas can hear everything and it is amplified.
I always believe that. Because there's multiple cases where people would wake up from years of being in a coma.
Yeah.
They would tell you everything.
I remember when you came to my birthday every year and you sat beside me. But think about this. So if you have a family member or friend or any loved one in your life that is in a coma and you do go to speak to them, remember what she said. They can hear you. That's good, but it's amplified. So when you're going into their rooms, try not to talk normally or higher than normal. When you're talking to them, try to lower your tone because, again, you're amplifying. So when you're speaking to them, it's probably too much for their heads to handle. It's probably giving them a headache that they can't do anything about because they're in a coma.
Right.
So try to whisper to them. Try to be mindful of them. And it's kind of hard when you're looking at somebody that looks like they're in a vegetative state. It's kind of hard for you to think of them as still being alive, but you have to really think about that person's life, even though they can't do anything about it. So I thought that was pretty cool. Hers wasn't really scary. The only thing that was kind of worrisome was the shadow people trying to scare her. I'm interested in learning about the shadow people, and I wanted to do some more research to figure out if other people have remembered shadow people, have confronted them in their comas or anything. So if you guys also are interested into that, do research with me as well in that, and we can gather what we find in another podcast. But this podcast was basically to kind of break a little bit away from all the crime. I know people think that we're investigators. We're not investigators. We just talk and we just added the microphone to our discussions. So we're not here picking apart cases to solve it.
A couple of people that watch way too much crime shows.
Really?
Which, by the way, you guys, if you guys do not know, and Amber reminded me, the new season of Unsolved Mysteries is now on Netflix.
And it's good. Right now it's only 6 episodes. But
it's still, they're still like an hour long.
They're so good.
You guys need to go and check it out. I'm in the middle of the first one because I wanted to be able to, because normally I fall asleep to forensic files, and I know it freaks my sister out, my older sister.
I like that too. I love it.
She's like, she would tell me, okay, just put on something, because she sleeps when it's quiet. I can't. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put on forensic files. She's like, really? Now I'm gonna have to dream about all these criminals coming to me, and I'm like, it puts me to sleep.
I love it.
Best thing to fall asleep to, believe it or not, honestly. And then it kind of scares my husband because then he's like, I know that you know what not to do. I'm like,
Girl,
but I'm too scared. I'm that type of person that will like immediately go to the police because I wouldn't know what to do, and I'm weak as heck, and I can't carry.
girl, I used to go to sleep, and sometimes I still do, listening to YouTube's on the creepy side of YouTube, creepy pastas. Some are narrated by Mr. McCreeps, Creeps McPasta, all that. I would listen to all the stories, and they used to give me really trippy dreams. Like I remember I was in a time loop, running up and down the stairs really fast, and then I would throw myself out of the time loop, throw myself back into it, and keep doing that until I woke up. Like they gave me some trippy dreams, and I loved it.
There is one story you were knocked out of sleep. I don't know if you were fully asleep at this point. There was one story that was on that freaked me out so bad that I had to go get my headphones and listen to like happy music on my phone. Because I kid you not, okay, this is the story that happened. There was this, I want to say it was a female. There was this person that rented a house for 2 weeks for vacation.
Oh, I was asleep. I don't remember that at all.
Okay, so the story was she went to this house. It was really cheap. It was in the woods, very small town. She rented it for vacation for 2 weeks. It was technically just to the owners of the house were, gone. All they asked for this person to stay there for really cheaply was to take care of their cats. I think they had 2 cats.
Wait a minute. That almost sounds like a story of the guy that had to go check in on the parents and feed their animals. Oh my God, keep going.
But I don't think it was the parents because he or she I forgot what it was, but had to go feed the cats. But they stayed there for 2 weeks. So he went out to the woods and did their normal hiking, ran errands in town, came back to the house, and like they were sitting in the car, and they said that they felt like something was telling them not to go inside the house, but they just pushed that aside. They were just like, well, maybe it's just a freaky day,
Mm-hmm.
So they pushed through it, and they were in the living room. They felt like someone was watching, but again, pushed through it. They got so stressed out to the point where they had stomach problems. But at the same time, they were so freaked out too that they were like, you know what, I have to leave this house. Let me go and do something, around town. Got in their car, did stuff around town. Now, mind you, the owner's cats would normally be at the owner's the master bedroom, and never in the room that this person was staying in. The past couple nights, this was like within a week. They were there past a week. I think they were only lacking like 3 days left of their stay. So what happened was the cat started staying in their room, which they thought was weird, but they were pushed through that feeling. I was like, well, maybe they're just warming up to me now.
Yeah.
And the cat would stay underneath the bed and never in the owner's bedroom anymore. They thought that was weird. But then after the fact that they were feeling ill and they pushed through that, they went to go in town. And when they came back, they still had that feeling that they shouldn't enter the house. But again, they pushed through it. And what happened was the lock had a dual lock on it. He only locked the bottom lock. The main lock was locked, which he knew he did not lock at all. So he was like, okay, but thankfully the owners had, told him where the key was for that main lock bolt. So they were able to get into the house, and then they went into the garage for something. And when they had turned around, the door closed and locked on them. And the same key opened that door. So, they went around the house checking the doors except for the master bedroom. So keep that in mind. They didn't check the master bedroom. They checked all the other doors. So then they heard something and they called the police. Well, the police checked around the house. They checked the master bedroom this time. The police checked all the rooms. Didn't find anything at all, except for the master bedroom looked like someone was staying in there. And it had a window where someone could easily come in. The window was not locked. Mind you, this house was in the middle of the woods. So they weren't super close. It was secluded. And then if you stepped out the bedroom, it had perfect view of the living room. So that night that the person was in the living room feeling that someone was watching them, someone was watching them. So I was like, nope. When it came to that, I was like, nope. But I was so invested in the story at this point that it was too late to turn around
There's so many stories like that. Oh my goodness. There's so many stories like that it doesn't even surprise me. Yeah. Hey Jalen, you're on camera. Smile. Is that my shirt?
Yeah. That's so sad that your 10-year-old
the strings are tied. Yeah, she's
so if you have her daughter, her and her,
you know what? I think half of this podcast of me trying to record it probably doesn't have my voice because I realized my mic was dead. So hopefully it got my voice. Jalen, we see your butt on camera.
Why?
Because it's on camera.
I mean, I can hear you through it. So
the whole time? Well, yeah, you were talking to me. Or was it the live? Do you have the live muted?
No, I have my whole laptop muted.
Oh, okay. So, anyway, it's charging now. Yeah, like, I don't even know if you guys can see it, but yeah, it was like no lights were on, but the thing was on. And then I was like, I plugged it up and the lights are on. I don't know how long
I'm trying to get my desktop with the really good mic up and running for you guys and get it so we can make it sound better so you guys can hear us better. Oh, and Amber found this out. If you guys have a Echo Dot or a Google that's like a Echo, you got we can't say the name because ours will turn on. If you guys tell them to play Double A Crime Files, it will play the latest episode.
Yep. So please play us while you sleep. Listen to our voices. So we just wanted to let you guys know. I know we've mentioned it several times, but we never really gave a full we are not investigators. We're not. We're just very interested in this side of things, and we're interested in the psyche of the mind of the killer or whatever you want to call it. We're interested in the who, what, where, why. What makes that person tick. We're not interested in solving a case. We're just interested in the case. Period. Like the cases sound freakishly weird. Why does it sound weird? Why are they doing this? I was watching something earlier. Most of these killers show you these signs long before they actually make the first kill. So we wonder why people have not noticed. Why, we just discuss these things. These are things, the discussions that we would have without a camera and without a microphone. But we just added these things so you can be a part of our conversation because we thought our conversation was interesting enough. That's all. So we put out on podcasts for everybody to listen to. So we might be crappy podcasters, but we're not investigators. So we're not giving you an answer to why they were killed. We just are literally talking about the case. So, like, some clues that are in, why are these clues being, like, overlooked? Why are these swept under the rug? What is this person? Is this person super important? Why are they doing this? What is so important about this person that they had to be killed? That's all. We just want to know. And why aren't people paying attention to the signs? Like, why is little Timmy dissecting animals at age 6, at 6, and now he's then killed 300 people, and you didn't think nothing about it when little Timmy was 6? We're just talking about, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And I mean,
so
there's multiple incidents too, where the people seemed normal, and then
like Jeffrey Dahmer,
yeah,
Ted Bundy.
What was that? What was the very, not the very first. I wouldn't say he was the very first. The serial killer that had the hotel. H.H. Holmes.
Yeah.
He's one of
my very interesting. Like, these minds are so interesting. What is so baffling to me is how beautiful their minds really are. They're twisted. So smart. Some of them are artistically gifted. Some of them are just beautifully smart, and they're incredibly charming. Even if they're ugly, they're incredibly charming because of their wit and their intelligence, that they can really fool you. And so that kind of stuff is intriguing. Like, how can we miss this? Duh, because we're being fooled by true sociopaths that know how to mimic a normal life.
Right.
And that's so interesting.
We're talking about 90% of these people have one of the highest IQs.
Yeah, great jobs, great houses.
And even if, like the people, I know there's some people that I've researched where they've come from poor families, horrible upbringing,
beaten all the time, raped.
But yet they come out with one of the highest IQs, and they have all this talent that's being wasted now because, I mean, they just have this sadistic mind that cannot be suppressed.
I swear, I'll say this in every podcast, every time we do this, I'll continue to say it. I believe that it is in genetic coding. Like, they're genetically made to be this way. Just like someone, their chromosomes could be mixed up and they have Down syndrome or autism. That so is the same with being a murderer. It's just all in your DNA. No matter how smart you are, no matter how talented you are, if you're a murderer, you're a murderer. And I just like to talk about that because it is so crazy how we're all given our talents. Most of us don't even use them, and the ones that do use them in such a gory way. Alluring. Like Dahmer, he liked to go after young black men and Mexican men. So he would get like hookers, like guy hookers and everything. He would use his charm. And then you would think about how smart this guy is, but then he would like dismember the whole body, put this person in the freezer and eat them later. That's some kind of really demented, morbid stuff there. What's going on is, not only do I believe in the genetics of it, I also believe that it is what your surroundings put into you as well. So say if you're already malfunctioned genetically, then you grow up in a family where you don't feel like you fit in, and they're like forcing you to be what you feel like you're not. So say that you do find performing whatever it is on animals fascinating, and they're like, nope, this is not normal, you can't do this, but to you it's normal. That's being encoded into you that you can't be who you are. So you start raging. Once you rage out, how far will you go in a rage when you can't really explore who you truly are because it's not deemed as normal to society? What might be normal in your head. So like, how far will you go? Will you kill someone to prove your point, or is there a point to killing? What is it? Is it just power?
A lot, I've noticed, a lot is just they they have this rush of emotion, kind of like almost like a sense of release. Because there's multiple times where I've watched, interviews of cases of these killers when they're asked, why do you go out to kill? A lot of them, if not all of them, say that there's this rush of emotion. There's this, that they feel after it's done.
Like an adrenaline?
Well, not really an adrenaline. It's almost like a stress reliever or a sigh. It's
An
almost
addiction.
like a whole bunch of stress just is released out of your shoulders. Like when you do something when a normal, quote unquote, normal person, because we technically don't know what normal is.
Yeah.
We just
The societal
whatever.
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the quote unquote normal is, if you find something just peaceful, you find drawing to be peaceful, to be stress relieving, to just, zone out of the world and have all the stresses that you have on your shoulders be released. These people feel the same way when they go out and kill.
Yeah. Another thing, aside from all the killing talk, I believe we're the true aliens. Yeah, I'll put it out there. I say it.
I think so too.
I mean, for goodness sake, we carry.
We don't know what we all have here.
Yeah.
We haven't even discovered all the species that we have on Earth.
There are aquatic aliens. People call them mermaids.
I mean,
put that out there.
We have not discovered every inch of the ocean. We have not discovered.
We only know 5% of the ocean, and the ocean takes up 90% of the world.
Yeah. And we haven't dug up the ground so far down to get stuff. So there's a lot of things.
You said digging up the ground. Do you believe that Hitler had an underground bunker?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me none.
Close to the core. They say close to the core there's beaches and tropics.
So to get there, it's gonna be.
You'll probably disintegrate.
We don't have. We have the equipment.
No biotechnology here.
And the thing is, there's people that are so closed-minded. They're just like, no, we're not. There's no such thing. But you guys have to realize there's a lot of things that we don't know right now.
Oh my God! Do you know how many galaxies that there are in the universe? How many universes there are? And then in all these different galaxies, how many stars? Billions upon billions upon billions. And then for every amount of stars, there's planets. There's trillions. We're not the only life source out there. I mean, we might be the only things that look like this, but what closed-minded people don't understand when they're saying that there's life that could inhabit other planets is microorganisms, cells on the molecular level. It doesn't mean that it's you and I, and that it's someone like you are that looks like us that will be on this different planet. It could be a flower, and a flower in itself is life. It could be a bee, that's life. But a cell, it only takes a little bit to make something. It's a little cell is life. So when somebody says there's life on other planets, not necessarily a human walking around, but cells.
So I mean, there's it just depends on the environment. We, I will let you guys know this. I'm not truly a fully religious person because I mean I was born when humans were already here. How did humans come in play? How just how did everything evolve to what it is today? We're only fed certain things.
Well, religion is a human concept to give us something to believe in. Hope. Religion is man-made. So religion really isn't a real thing. It's just something to give us something to believe in. So religion is really what you make it.
And now I don't want any of you guys to feel like we are putting down religion.
Not at all.
We are not. We're just not. Like everybody has their opinions, everybody has beliefs, which we're very open to hearing about them.
Believe what you believe with respect.
yeah, we just ask a lot of questions because there's a lot of questions, and they're not going to be answered in this lifetime, in the next lifetime. For millions of years, it's not going to be answered. I mean, we're still figuring out all these other planets coming into play just now.
Yeah, and we've been around trillions of years.
We're not even at like a fourth of it right now.
I wouldn't even say that. I would say we were like
like 0.005% of it.
Very skimming the surface.
Like, so we haven't, we're saying this because we want you guys to come in with an open mind. We want you to expand your thoughts and your theories, think outside of the box.
Really, really do that.
A lot of times, the thinking out of the box helps you guys in real life to open up to different cultures and different, ways of thinking. And like, it just shows mutual respect as well. Like, we respect everything that every culture that there is. 90% of religion, if that.
But that with all that she's saying, it still relates to a level to why we created this podcast. Most of these killers have what they believe in, and that to them it is their religion. And some of them are driven by God, some of them are driven by Satan. It's whatever they believe in that drives them to do what they do. So
looking at their actual brain and the way thinking, not what they believed in necessarily. I mean, that plays a part of it.
All that bringing, especially if the upbringing, especially if it's like a super religious upbringing. Some killers come from cults. Those are the most religious type, out there, because they are their own gods, basically. From what I research. So I do a lot of research when I'm researching this stuff. I research different religions, and I pick out of each religion the one thing that remains constant, and that's what I go with. So the one thing that remains a constant is that we have to have something to believe in. That's the only thing that's the same.
To believe in.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is like we've only unlocked like a tiny percent of our potential. We have not truly unlocked who ourselves are, but some of these murderers, they unlock that stuff, and they see who they really are and what they really are capable of and what they can really do. If we all unlocked who we really are we all deep down in the core evil? Are we not? What will we do when we find out who our true selves are? How will we figure out who we are?
Our so-called normal is engraved to us since we were kids. If you, have parents that have taught you respect and what's right and what's wrong, like, that's what you just grow up learning. But these criminals, these killers, they may have been taught that, but they strayed from that path.
So yeah, we really want to just understand the brain, understand the why. We may never understand that, but still talking about the case is interesting. Gives us something to do 3 times a week for an hour.
And we absolutely love for you guys to give us your opinions on these people, because it may be opinions that we have never thought of ourselves.
I like getting the feedback. I
love to hear that.
Yeah, I get good feedback, and I do appreciate that. Some people think I don't like dig as deep as they would have. That's the thing. I'm not an investigator. I'm not trying to figure out their whole life. I'm just trying to talk about what happened.
And we're only given so much tools, you guys. Like, we literally cannot just go to the police station or look up the police report.
Also,
because a lot of those are not out there.
Some things are sealed for a long time. But yeah, also there's a thing called too much information. So if we do keep digging and we hit something that we're not supposed to know.
I'm so sorry, but my computer's freaking out.
Mine is too.
I see like your skeletal, like it's freaking out and scaring me right now.
Mine is doing that too. Of course,
So,
I think it's because we're talking about what we're not supposed to talk about.
Probably.
But we are running close to our hour here on the podcast. So if you want to hear more, if you want us to do these kind of talks on Sundays, we would love to do these kind of talks. So listen to Arianne's podcast on Tuesday, mine on Thursday, and then we meet back on Sunday for another fun day.
Definitely. Don't forget, you guys, to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Listen to our podcast here on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts.
We're not on Reddit, so submit stories to Reddit.
Make sure to email us at double.a.crimefiles@gmail.com for any stories you guys want to let us know. Anybody that you guys want us to research, any unsolved or solved cases, whatever you guys think is interesting, let us know.
If you have any UFO sightings, please talk to me. I'm your girl. Anyway, we're running at the end of our time here, so we're gonna say double A signing out.